newly released surveillance video shows the moment 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska boarded the CATS train at the East-West station. She sat down in front of a man identified by police as Decarlos Brown. 4 minutes later, he suddenly pulls out.
Has identified the victim as 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska. They say she was stabbed to death Friday night on the light rail, and we have photos of her. The crime scene was at the East-West station in South End. CMPD is charging Decarlos Brown with her murder. Court records say he is homeless and he has a lengthy criminal history. Just last month, his public defender made a motion questioning his ability to proceed in his court case about misusing the 911 system. The judge ordered a forensic evaluation, but he was allowed to be out and about. The criminal charge stemmed from this past January when police say he called 911 and claims someone gave him man-made material that controlled when he ate, talked, and walked. The magistrate allowed him to be released from jail without paying anything on a written promise to appear.
People need to get angry about this sort of situation, and they need to start realizing this is happening, and they need to get more.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for continuing to support the Kyrie Swerving channel. I am your host, not Kyrie Irvin.
Okay.
All right, we got to talk about this story that's been going viral online the past few days. We had a young woman in North Carolina riding the light rail. I believe that it's a train. She was riding, it wasn't even late at night. It was about 10 p.m. She got off of her job where she was working as a pizza worker because, oh yeah, she is in the country as a refugee from the Ukrainian war. And it seems like she might have been safer in that country with all of the war that they're going through than to be in the United States of America. Let me just say prayers to the victim, condolences to the family members. And we have a problem on a lot of these inner city streets ever since this no bail policies were introduced, where there is no judicial system.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people, really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers.
We need to keep violent people in jail. Right now, the average homicide suspect has been arrested 11 times prior to them committing a homicide. That is a problem. That is a problem.
You know, they get these guys, they arrest them, the cops arrest them, doing their job to keep the public safe. But then you have these DAs and judges that have been put in a place to keep people safe, protect the public, and yet they constantly keep on re-releasing these criminals back into the communities because I guess they figure the criminals' communities look like them. You know, they won't be affecting too much of the mass population. You know, this guy, allegedly, Decarlos Brown, who allegedly carried out this unspeakable, heinous crime, had proven 14 times. All right, here are his mugshots. 14 times. And, you know, it's mental health. He gets all of these cop-outs from all of these people that instead of giving him some sort of rehabilitation, just say, hey, go out into the community, and until you commit a serious crime that they could arrest him for, he could just keep on doing whatever he wants. And then when you have heroes in some of these cases that step up, you know, like a Daniel Penny, they're demonized. You know, but criminals like this guy, like George Floyd, and many others are going to be given all of the compassion in the world. This video was disgusting, all right? But the whole thing was captured on camera, and still it was suppressed. You know, we'll get to that in a little bit, but the story did not end up breaking, and the only reason a lot of people ended up hearing about it was because the footage started circulating on X. And even then, you had, you know, the majority of the crime cut out. But there was no major mainstream outlets reporting on this video until they started getting people putting out their own videos on various social media platforms.
This actually happened last month. It only gained national news attention here in the past couple of days. Why is that?
Right, most murders in the U.S. never become national news. This one's garnered attention for a couple of reasons. Number one, first and foremost, the recent release of that gruesome video. Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death. Senseless death. Senseless death.
So I was just interested in how the reporting goes with some of these liberal mainstream outlets. Okay, in the days and weeks following George Floyd's death, that they tried to start a whole race war behind. Remember the Summer of Love with all the rioting and looting that barely anybody got arrested for? But anyway, a conservative estimate for liberal-leaning mainstream outlets alone would place the number in the range of 2,000 to 5,000 articles in the three weeks following his death. All right. So I went down and all I did was just plugged in Iryna Zarutska's name. It's estimated that liberal mainstream media outlets publish fewer than 10 to 20 articles specifically about Zarutska's deletion in the 3 weeks following her death. So in the same 3 week span, I believe it's been, or maybe 2 week span following her death, less than 10 to 20 articles about her. And remember, we saw Derek Chauvin with his knee on George Floyd's back, plastered across every mainstream media outlet, across every newspaper cover, had that infamous image. But this one went completely under the radar for many, yo. Like, now the mainstream media is now beginning to touch on this story, and they're even trying to spin the narrative that, Decarlos Brown was the victim in all of this. This post is from Donald Trump Jr. over on X, and he brings up a great point, all right? His post reads, strangely, all the clowns with Ukraine flags in their bio are also all silent on this one. Like, this story has so many spins to it that I personally don't know how people on the left could defend this. I really don't. Okay, you had the race issues. All right, you had somebody let out on mental health. This soft on crime approach. This is reportedly Iryna Zarutska in her bedroom, and over here on her door is a poster, and if you look down here, it's been brightened up. It's a Black Lives Matter poster. It's also says, I can't breathe. Okay, a lot of these liberal white people that are the loudest people for Black Lives Matter end up moving into these communities, like in New York, like in Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Chicago, not on the south side, but still. And they're the ones being victimized.
How could it have been avoided if she was racist? We were led to believe that any level of prejudice, any level of pattern recognition is the highest evil. Not just evil, but the highest evil.
And that's why when Nick Fuentes and Lily Gaddis and people, similar commentators in their space, say certain things and make it racial, because this story is going to come down to race, black people get lumped in with the niggas.
People need to get angry about this sort of situation. And they need to start realizing this is happening, and they need to get more racist. Racism would save a lot of lives. If this girl was a little more racist, she might not have sat in front of a black guy with her back to a black guy. Girls may not date black guys if they realize when they go into the court system, it's nothing but white women bringing before the judge the brown and black perps who have battered them abuse them. They're trying to get restraining orders out against them. And those are the lucky ones, believe it or not. Those aren't the ones that were murdered by these people. So we need to get tough with ourselves and realize that this is an actual problem and not care if they call you racist, because I would rather be called racist than dead.
Did she say anything wrong? You know, maybe white people need to stereotype a little bit more. Maybe if she had stereotyped old boy, she might not have sat in front of him. I know when I walk around, I stereotype people, and I know people stereotype me. So it is what it is.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person.
Shut up, your ugly body. Nasty ass, mutating, permutating, corrugating, etiolating skin. Shut up, your body don't even last long enough. I'm gonna look younger than him by the time he's my age. I don't care about them ugly ass kids in your race. Shut up.
And black people, do not go getting offended. Because if we keep it real with ourselves, we are the most prejudiced people on this planet. Drewski just put out that whiteface skit with him at the NASCAR. I didn't see much outrage from the black community. People were laughing, hee ha ha, you know. But if that had been reversed, here's a local article from out there in North Carolina, because you know you can't trust these national writers. All right, you always got to go to the source, and I think the best source are the local writers. All right, but I wanted to touch on what they had the mayor on record saying. Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles issued the following statement on Saturday. The video of the heartbreaking attack that took Iryna Zarutska's life is now public. I want to thank our media partners and community members who have chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect for Iryna's family. That just seems a little bit odd to me. All right, it seems because Iryna's tragic passing occurred on August 22nd. You really didn't hear about this story until at least a few days into September. It seems like if this mayor or the powers that be, allegedly, I'm not accusing anybody, but it seems as if they played some role in reaching out to the medias and not having the medias cover the story. That's starting to make more sense on why only after social media, this story took off on social media, that you started getting national coverage. Closing out, this was yet another senseless, violent case that could have been avoided. If the powers that be do their jobs, you know, maybe after this guy was arrested 4, maybe 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 times, he's not released unless he shows clear signs of rehabilitation. What is this soft on crime ever since 2020 thing, that experiment that some of these courts have been trying? Like, look how many lives have been lost. Look how many, I mean, even if you want to say Jordan Neely's life, which was lost to Daniel Penny, you know, could have been avoided. Because if he had gotten the help that he needed, then I think he would still be alive today. If this guy gets the help that he needed, this young lady would still be alive today. If this guy is taken off of the street after his 4th arrest, 5th arrest, 6th arrest, 7th, 8th, 9th, they let it get all the way up to 14. I mean, if somebody doesn't show rehabilitation after a few arrests, depending on the crime as well, I mean, why are you putting them back out in the public? Then you're putting them back out in the public in some of these places where you are completely disarming the populace. New York City, LA, where you're not allowed to practice your Second Amendment right, but you have these criminals among the population carrying weapons, having knives on public transportation. Is that legal? But the left spin on it is he was a victim. You know, they find a way how to victimize the criminals. That's all I got to say on it for now. Y'all let me know whatever your thoughts are in the comment section, whether you agree, disagree, or indifferent. Let me know down below. Till the next video, y'all, please be safe and stay wavy.